Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Simon Chat with Amita, Sri Lanka's first LinkedIn live talk show. So if you are joining from LinkedIn, you are welcome. And this is also simultaneously broadcasted on Facebook. So if you are joining on Facebook, welcome to the show. And this is also broadcasted to YouTube. So whoever is joining from YouTube, you are welcome. It's a Poe Day. It's Poson Poe Day. So many thousand years ago, we received Buddhism to Sri Lanka, but along with that, we also received a lot of crafts. And I think it's a great day for us to talk about a very specific, very important topic today. We are going to talk about design DNA and how it provides solutions. And I have brought a special person to talk about it. But before I invite him on the stage, let me talk a little bit about myself. My name is Amita Gamuge, as you know already, and I have been doing this show with this week it is 35 weeks. So it's all about consistency. And every week somebody comes here, we talk about a specific topic. Last week we talked about futuristic digital skills. There was overwhelming response, questions. So if you're at home, kind of locked down, just grab a coffee, just grab a tea, sit down somewhere, calmly listen to us. But while listening, maybe you can share this show with others, comment, like, join the discussion. Let's make it very interactive. So to talk about me a little bit more, as well as from other countries. I'm also a personal branding expert. I help C-level executives, professionals, and business owners to shape their personal brand, to take their career, to take their business growth to the next level. I work with large corporations, especially on B2B sales, and work with their teams to enhance their B2B sales performance. So that's a little bit about me. So let me invite a very special person uh, onto the screen, onto the show, onto the stage to talk about design, DNA, and how it provides solutions. Good evening, Charis.
Hello, good evening.
Thank you very much for accepting my invitation to join Sri Lanka's first LinkedIn Live talk show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So I think along the way, during this discussion, we will find more about you. But I would like to start from your childhood or maybe your younger age. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about your younger age? I'm especially curious about to understand how you got into design along the way. Let's find out.
Yeah, basically, I'm a curious kid. I often ask a lot of questions from my parents. I always, very curious about everything around me. I always ask questions like, "What is this? Why this is happening?" It was like that. I grew up with two brothers alongside. Couldn't get it any better than that. Growing up with two brothers. So and my school life, like I went to like 8 schools because of the nature of my father's job, so that's interesting fact as well. So growing up is fun and all is great, and I enjoyed a lot in apart from this digitally driven world. We tend to do a lot of activities, and which really shaping up a lot of our characters, and it made who we are today, and I'm really proud of that. Yes, that's how the childhood was. It was fun, and it's
Yeah.
great.
So yeah. So my next question is, what triggered you to get into designing? Was there a specific time that you recall? Okay, with that incident, or because there was someone around you who knows design, or because your grandfather was a designer or something like that? Was there any triggering point?
Not really, because I wasn't grow up in a family that is more art driven or design driven or anything. But I grew up with a strong hunger for the art. For me, art designing is like representation of a constant lookout for answers. That answers keep raising more questions. You know what I mean? So I always try to turn this, process into a continuous journey that is, sort of keeps me feeding my curiosity about the world. So I always love art, love design from my young age. I really want to. Even my hand lettering is so beautiful. I pay a lot of attention to it. That's how I grow up. Like that's what I think that triggers the most. And I then I turn that process into discover more about the design, what it can be, useful for, and I was curious. I was looking myself in the design world. I didn't have any idea like how to become success, how to make money out of it, because back then when I didn't have a computer, so all we had was like a small, like access to internet is on internet cafes and tutorials on, these magazines or whatever. So it was tough, but we managed to get through that phase, and hopefully I'm here today. I'm really happy about
Okay,
it.
so before I go to the next question, let's say hi to few fans who join us on a weekly basis. So we have Tamit joining from Panadar. Hi, good evening, Tamit. Thank you very much for encouraging us and coming here, asking questions. And then we have firstly, hi, good evening, firstly. Thank you very much for joining. And as usual, Callum always comes here. Thank you very much, Callum. You're at home today, so thank you very much for joining. And then we have Krishna Rajan. Good evening, Krishna, for joining with us. And then we have Upulakshi. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining. You can ask a lot of questions because we have someone who knows about design, especially someone who has international exposure, not just 1 year, 2 year of exposure, but then more than a decade of experience. So please throw all the questions. It's very rarely we meet a designer face to face like this. Offline, what I mean is in the line of duties, you might meet your designer, but then you have no time to talk in a very casual manner. You do your job, you have a transaction, and that's the end. So please be happy to ask questions. Share this conversation with your friends. So, uh, how can I define you as a designer, or how can I define you, Charit, right now?
Yes, I would love to define me as a designer because I design many things, not just the branding or anything. I design a lot of things. So yes, you can call me designer. I'm proud.
Okay, okay. So, can you then let me know? We call different people designers.
Hmm.
Like there are building designers,
Yeah.
bridge designers. Then
Hmm.
there may be someone who would do a Vesak Pendo.
Yeah.
Maybe there are designers. So I don't know whether we have confused ourselves with designers and uh, artists. I really don't know. We are ordinary people. In
Yeah.
layman's language, anyone who is doing, I mean, anyone if, can draw something nice, I might
Yeah.
still interchangeably call him a designer. So,
Yeah.
how would you explain and tell the audience who is a designer, even for the benefit of younger generation, right?
Yeah.
How do you think you should define a design?
Yeah, I define myself as a designer. I'm a commercial designer, focus on branding and advertising. So you can call I'm a designer based in brand consulting and advertising industry. So there are a lot of industries, like you said, motion design, architecture, 3D animations. There are a lot of industries that are related to design. So I'm based in brand consulting and advertising industry. So I spend majority of my time in advertising agencies. That is one local agency in Sri Lanka and one local agency in Saudi, and there are multinational agencies in Dubai and Qatar. So these are the countries that I've been to, and I was working as a generalist graphic designer, senior designer, art director. So basically, I was focusing more towards the art advertising industry. And then I transit myself to become a sort of a expert in one segment, which is branding and UI UX designs, because I felt that is needed in order to get your value, because you need to be master of something, then you know everything. For the agency background, it's more useful for me to do everything. For instance, business card, it could be a business card, it could be a complete big campaign. So
Or a
from
logo, maybe.
yes, yes, everything, even the UI UX, even you might have to do it at some point in your career if you are a general designer. So I consider myself, I want to master something. So I want to define myself as what type of designer, because when you present yourself to the world, you need to understand like how to present yourself, how to package yourself to a product that is most expensive, because so that's why I wanted to package myself as a branding and UI UX designer. So then I stick to that and I'm going to define myself as that.
Okay, brilliant. So even though you have a vast experience along the way, you have defined yourself, you have decided to personal brand yourself as a branding expert and a UI UX expert. Yeah. So in that sense, you are a designer in that domain, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of money in that domain as well.
Absolutely, it's the fundamental of everything. UX is the fundamental for everything, regardless it is like a web or digital. When you consider the UX, even the cars and everything, it needs this UX to be in place. UX more of like a strategic and thinking involved rather than designing actual design that people know. But it's a sort of a design that is most fundamental element in solving problems. Yeah, so that's why I got excited, because I used to ask a lot of questions and I want answers and I love answers. I love problems, so that's why I choose this segment. Rightfully
Yeah.
so.
Yes. So I was listening to my younger son, who is 12, who was delivering a presentation on entrepreneurship to a university in India. And he was telling an average 4-year-old kid is asking 100 questions a day. And then what happens is, along the way, we grow. And then sometimes along the way, somebody says, don't ask stupid questions. And that day we stop asking questions, thinking that it is a stupid question. So, Charit, are there stupid questions around? No?
Sorry. No,
I
no,
asked whether,
no, 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 no,
when
no.
it comes to questions, people
Yeah.
ask questions because of the curiosity, because they want to know. Yeah?
Yeah, there can be many reasons why people ask questions. Some people are very lazy, that's why they ask questions. They want rapid answers for somebody, and they want to use up someone else's time to figure out the things that simply they can, figure out. For instance, I get so many messages saying, "What's the size of Facebook cover?" You're one search away from Google, and you just want me to find out that for you. So something like that. So I would say that is a stupid question to ask, because not only because you are wasting my time, but also you are wasting your opportunity to discover something on the internet. How to find your answers. Basically, because it's important to you, because I wouldn't be here with you forever. Like I'm not your dad or something. So you just need to try to find answers for your questions when you pass just 18 or something.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, true. So I understand that you have been in the private sector, and
yeah.
then you went abroad one
Yes.
fine day, yeah,
Yeah.
from local businesses. So may I know what triggered, or why did you decide to go abroad, and then because you went abroad, what happened?
Yeah, the thing is that I stayed in Sri Lanka because I came from a very dark place, which is like I will tell you that my education is like I went to I was very academic, I getting good grades on my all subjects and everything. I'm fine. I'm a good kid. I'm getting a lot of competitions, won this quiz competitions and whatever. So, but I felt like after I did O level, I ran out of motivation. I didn't know where to fit in the system. I don't know what triggered me, but I felt like this is not right. This is not me because I was forced to do mathematics stream, which is not something that I enjoy at all. And I got lost like 6 months, and I was like lost all the time. I don't understand anything what's going on in these subjects, and I had to take one of the most hardest decision in my life is to skip A levels, unfortunately, but because I didn't know what to do with myself, and I just tried to find myself so many places, but I lost in so many places, but I never give up on my hopes and dreams to become a designer. So I wanted to get close to it. I was working in small gaming cafes in communications, just to pay my bills and stuff like that. Then one day somebody helped me to go and get a job in an advertising agency in Sri Lanka. So which that is I think the turning point of my life and my career importantly. So from that agency I was like growing super fast because I have this I felt that I have all the ingredients I need. It's just that I didn't get the opportunity that I need to, utilize. So I captured that opportunity with both of my hands, and then I grow up in there. Like within about like 3 years, I learned like most of the things. I learned a lot of things, and I became a designer. Basically, that company was like my college. I learned a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. Now, that also tells the sad story of probably 20 to 30% of kids who are facing O level. I think the top 20% will go to universities, and the middle range also will get support from their parents or whatever to get guidance. And then there is about 20 to 30% who just get lost, really not knowing where to go, what stream to follow. Somebody will push them, do maths, do this, do that, and it's not their calling. And
Yeah,
and of course, as you correctly said, they will be pushed to the darkest places in their lives simply
yeah,
because there's no one to listen to them. I think
yeah,
you highlighted a very important point. So this is important for seniors, adults, teachers, parents to help their. I mean, I was having a trouble when my uh, elder son, when he completed his O level recent. Now he's waiting for results. I was having deep discussions with him to identify what he wants in the future. To be honest with you, it was a very hard discussion. Even he didn't know exactly. So we both tried and figured out something.
yeah.
And until his results are here, I have put him as a virtual intern in a digital marketing agency. So he's learning about digital marketing as a O-level completed student.
Mm.
Uh, I saw he was getting a 5,000 rupees salary also. But then I told the person who gave the job, I will give you 5,000 if necessary, but please give him the job. The
Yeah, yeah.
experience matters. Uh,
Matters, yes.
those experiences are not there in the book.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't Google it,
yes.
as you always say. So let's say
Yeah.
hi to Krishant, who is joining from YouTube actually. And we have our friend elearning.lk, Sanjay. Great to see you, Charit, on stage. Yeah, thank you, Sanjay, for patronizing the show, coming here and say hi to us. It's a great encouragement. So, Charit, my next question to you. You went abroad and you joined the private sector in Middle East. So you wanna say a little bit about the changes you experience with regard to clients and their requirements in that part of the world? Are they different to what our clients require?
Yes, absolutely. The biggest difference is like I can highlight the culture, religion, the language, and the mindset. Those are the four main factors that I felt like very strongly that is different and is challenging because you need to understand, you need to be very empathetic and just need to understand their thought process, what they are, the culture is, the language, because it's totally, from right to left, they're writing. So the way that they see through the visuals and everything is completely different. So you have to think differently than what you have done in Sri Lanka. As well as when you go abroad, usually I don't criticize, but this is the thing. Like when you're in Sri Lanka, you just have to do, just some artworks. It's not like a lot of strategies involved. Like most of the clients, very straightforward, and their creative process is very linear. It's not like innovative or anything. They don't want to try that out for obvious good reasons, I would say, but this is how it is in Sri Lanka. But when you go to Qatar, when you go to Dubai and Saudi, it is very challenging because you need to face especially when you're working with big brands like FedEx, Dunkin' Donuts, these clients, McDonald's. When you're working with these international clients, the perspective change. It's like you swimming in a pool and then you suddenly jump into a sea. That's completely different scenario. So then I was always an underdog for 1 year, 2 year. I was underdog. I was always below the team, which I think was the greatest thing happened to me because I pushed myself that I never knew that I can run this so fast, but I run with my all heart because I'm passionate about this race. I really want this and I never want to give up. And I always try to learn after the work. I committed myself. I was always trying to talk with the resource person to increase my knowledge capital. I always was in the game. I never out. I never ever out. I remember some days I worked 2 days, 3 days straight, but I never give up. I always wanted to, do this, and I had that commitment because once you go there, you see many beautiful things. Your lifestyle changes. The way of your thinking is changes. You're exposed to a lot of different cultural people. People from UK, USA, Aussies, not only Middle East. They are like multicultural background. When you go there, you experience the different human beings and experience different lifestyles, and then you suddenly you change the person there. It's really changed myself, the way I think, the way I do my designs, the way I approach to my problem solvings. It's really changed.
Yeah, I mean, I heard some beautiful words. So let's say hi to a few other people before I ask another question related to your answer. So we have Usman Abdin. Hi, Usman. Thank you very much. We have uh, Sridhar. Good evening, Sridhar. Thank you very much for joining. We have Shanaka, the President Organizing Committee of National Best Quality Software Awards of Sri Lanka. Shanaka, thank you very much for joining. I think you need to meet Charit. I think I need to connect you to two of you together. There will be a lot of things that you could do to help Sri Lanka. Both of you are actually helping different industries in the country, but that will be a great combination. So let me connect two of you to see what we could do together in the future. Amazing. Thank you, Shanaka, for coming on to the show. And then I heard the word dedication, determination. I never gave up. I was working for continuously for 3-4 days. So now that was the input, right? And the output would have been great artistic pieces, great designs. But you want to talk anything about, does that increase your income too?
Yes, absolutely, because it increased like more than 100%, like 100, not 100%, 100x, I would say, because I was getting like around 35, 40,000 rupees in Sri Lanka. It's increased significantly, even though the life expenses is there is a bit much higher than Sri Lanka, but it was very good salary. You can go and buy furniture to your whole house in one salary. Just can go and buy one computer from your 1 month salary. That is unlike it is not gonna happen if you are living in Sri Lanka, obviously, because you have to work like you have to save like 4, 3, 4, 6 months salary just to afford a computer. But this buying power and this easy lifestyle, you can drive your own car, you can have a good apartment, and you can eat whatever you like. There are a lot of good variations and everything, and it's life. I mean, I validate my life like, yeah, this is it. This is I'm living in a dream.
Yeah. So I can imagine the amount of income you earn, especially working
Yeah,
with multinational companies,
yeah,
stuff like that. And then you stayed there for good 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you decided to come back.
Yes.
Why? Why did you
Yeah.
want to come back?
Yeah, I think I learned a lot from there. Like the consumer behaviors in Qatar and this Middle East was different, right? I learned a lot of things when I working in there. So I felt like yes, I can understand how the pattern goes because I studied a completely different country, different territory. So those experiences that I gained through working with multinational brands and the multi-ethnic people, what I believe was that yes, I can do something amazing in Sri Lanka as well. Because I had to take this hard call, just like when I was skipping my A-levels, it was that hard. It wasn't an easy thing because we are getting over more than 1.5 million a month, and then suddenly you want to go back to Sri Lanka, especially under this COVID situation. And I feel like, what's the deal? If you die somewhere in somewhere no in like Middle East, or you want to go home, at least to be with your friends and family and have a good time there. And I know that I believe we can do a lot more, because I have a responsibility to help Sri Lankan community to go to the place I went, because I came from absolute zero and I built myself up. So I want to give these advices and the lifelong experience which you cannot Google, because it is important, because you might find a lot of resources that going to help you to become a good designer, to reach the international market. That's right. But as a Sri Lankan, the challenges that you face are unique. You need to ask, because we know that this is not easy for Sri Lankans to do that, because there are a lot of limitations, but you can overcome that, because I have done that, because I challenged the system, because I didn't want to complain to everybody. Instead, I just find my answers, because I this is how I find my answers, and I want to help you to find your answers, because you might have the questions as well, right? For instance, that's why I want something my own, and it's a difficult choice, but I felt right and I took it. That's just what happened, and then I decided to come back to Sri Lanka, and have some independent freelance jobs, which gonna pay my bills hopefully. And the financial terms, the freedom that you get, it's not a big exchange. It's the same, because even though you're getting a huge salary there, the expenses are tough. So when you compare to that in Sri Lanka, I think the lifestyle, the country-wise, the facilities and everything is a bit lower, but the life you're gonna live however it's fine. It's your country. You can live with your people, especially talking in Sinhala. It's gonna feel good. So that's why I came back.
Yeah. So Shanaka says you're welcome, and Shanaka also says, okay, sure, let's meet Charit. So I will arrange a call for you all to talk. I really don't know what you're going to do, but all what I know is two of you do a great job to this society, this country, and then we should take it forward. So I'm just connecting the right parties here. I mean, after once when I listen to you, I feel universities of Sri Lanka should bring you as a guest speaker to share experience about working as a designer in international projects, in international forums. I mean, it's very rare that you hear a designer talking about consumer behavior. That itself set you apart from the rest. I mean, I'm so glad to hear that you are saying, Amit, I was learning consumer behavior. Now you are a designer. It's a very rare thing, because sometimes you find so difficult to explain your requirement as a consumer to another party. But when you have someone on the other side who understand consumer behavior, and then he or she says, hey, I get your point, I understand the consumer behavior. Now that itself is a different level of conversation after that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So amazing. So
yeah.
you want
Thank
to
you.
talk about consumer behavior, uh, and maybe branding and those kind of things over there,
Yeah,
uh, a little bit of examples.
sure. Sure, absolutely. So the thing is that in the Middle East, it was a constant change in consumer behaviors, mostly growing price sensitivity, eroding brand loyalty, demand for local things, e-commerce, rising of e-commerce. These are the most common trends that we found out, as well as the health and wellness during this pandemic and all that, and also their purchases patterns. They change dramatically. Those are the things change all our design decisions, because whenever you want to design for something, you just need to discover all these bits and pieces in order to make sure that you're going to deliver the right precise solution that gonna solve that specific problem that business has, hopefully to increase their conversions, as well as give the result that they are expecting, and the clarity and the other things that the consumer wants as well, not from the brand perspective, but also from the target audience's perspective. We want to give the clarity for them. So I remember that when I was redesigning the Ryan water, it is one of the premium water brands in Qatar. Still, I was the one who did the redesign of it. So basically, what we have done is we just took people from different ethnicities to go to a store and just purchase water without any conditions. We asked them to go there and buy three best water bottles that you like. And then we found out that the buying patterns and the reasons for why did you make this choice, why did you take the first choice, why did you take the second choice, and we found out a lot of insights and the behavior that they have in order to purchase this product. For instance, we have to do this type of research in design. It's not just the Photoshop or Illustrator, you throw it in some fancy graphics and call it a day. Because if you don't understand this design process from top to bottom, it's going to create a lot of problems than answers. So that's why design is important to discover this type of things, and specific problem has a specific solutions. So that's why we have done that. So we found out that some people buy it because it's convenient for them. So the store has a premium location for certain more bottles, which you will have to eventually pay a little bit more money to get that shares as well. So imagine that. So when you're working with your competitors, as a designer, our responsibility is to tell them like where to place these bottles as well. Imagine that. So you're just not designing a bottle label, you're designing for conversions. That's why the conversion focused designers are welcome, and that's why they are earning a lot of money. So there are like a lot to talk about the consumer behaviors and how it can affect your design decisions as well. So as a designer, I was privileged to work with a nice team of people which understand this design process from top to bottom. I was lucky to be part of this type of bigger companies, because that's what we do all day every day.
I just heard a top marketer talking to me. It is so glad to see a designer talking from the marketer's language. It's such a rare thing. So I'm so lucky to have you here in my show. And our audience is lucky to understand how design and marketing, along with consumer behavior, would work together to create better life, better value for brands, and to drive growth of an economy, maybe. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Great conversation. So now, your name, along with that, it says founder creative director at Blaze. Would you like to say something about Blaze? What is Blaze?
Yeah, the Blaze is. I found Blaze initially because I wanted to have a good conversation, design-centric conversation about business and life. Because I felt like I need to create this platform in order to help my mission of helping Sri Lankan designers to reach new places. So I would say this Blaze is initially it's about Blaze is the place where you learn about design and improve your creative skills. This is how I define Blaze, and I founded a YouTube channel and social media, especially Facebook. I have done a lot of live design review programs to improve their designs as well. So the Blaze is about helping Sri Lankan designers to be better at what they do, and hopefully, hopefully, because I felt like designers in Sri Lanka are undervalued for right reasons, but they are undervalued, right? So I want them to get their real value as well as be valuable to others. That's the important bit. Not just only to get your real value, but also understand how to be valuable to others. Why should someone pay you an extra premium to get this job done? What is the differentiator? What is the unique value proposition that you're going to bring to your clients? So this is what I want to emphasize. The foundation of the place is that I want to have a place where people can go and consume content about designs, marketing, mindset, and all that, so they can hopefully be better at what they are doing.
Wow, that's amazing. So you are trying to change the design landscape in Sri Lanka by way of probably sharing your experience, expertise, and maybe you may bring other international level experts to the forum, to the discussions, so that younger aspiring designers would learn things. I'm sure the definition of a designer here has a very narrowly defined in Sri Lanka, I guess. Right now, you are opening my eyes. I mean, all this time, maybe, pardon me, I'm not a designer. So my thinking, my understanding about designer, I don't even want to say what I was thinking about a designer now after listening to you. Okay.
Yeah.
It completely changed my perspective. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for that. So let's say hi to a few other uh, people who come here. Hi, Dhammika. Thank you very much for coming here all the way from Goal. And then here, Janagan says, ROI focused designs. Great. You know, it has hit his mind so hard. You brought some points here. Very good. So let me ask you the next question. Now, if I know how to work with Photoshop, maybe other Adobe versions of Adobe Suite, can I call myself a designer?
Well, I really admire your, I really admire your enthusiasm, but I hate to tell that, but you're far away from it, because you need like a lot of things to become a designer, not just the software, because it's just a tool. It's like you call yourself a chef when you're holding a knife, it doesn't resonate that. Just because you can just cut with a knife doesn't mean that you are a chef. You need to know the strategies like recipes, for instance, for the chef. So there are a lot to learn to become a designer. That's what was the lacking part of my career, because I had to figure it out by myself. So that's the really interesting question you asked them, because a lot of people think that if they know Photoshop, if they know how to do beautiful things, they are just designers. But designers has a lot meaning and a lot more value than that. Just
It's
being
deeper. It's
it's
deeper.
deep. It's really deep if you really want to make money out of it. But it's not deep if you just want to have a few bucks around for just to get your own work done is fine. But whenever we call it commercial design, the branding and specialize in branding and advertising, marketing, communication is different. It's completely different. And now to be able to design is the bare minimum entry to the industry. If you can design, that means the bare minimum entity. Which, this is what I'm saying. So most of the designers are complaining, "Oh, I'm not getting enough money. Can you help me to get this job?" And what do you know? You just know how to design. That's the minimum. You need to learn all these other things, which gonna obviously there are people who gonna do it. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean that you have to go and do a market research. No, but you need to understand the process, because you are in this process. You are not doing it everything alone, but you just need to know the process, how to do a competitive analysis, how to get all these information from the clients, in order to create your solution. Otherwise, you don't know the problem, you're just creating stuff. You just become an artist. It's not you are not a designer there. You know?
I mean, your answer is going to hurt some of the people, but facts are fact. Let's face it, because if you
Yes.
want to, if you want to go or move forward and go and compete in international with international competitors, others who are providing designing services, you got to think like that. You got to think beyond Adobe Suite, I guess.
Yes, most
So
definitely.
yeah. So it's great. I recently told my elder son, "Hey, why don't you learn Photoshop and and rest of the software that is available, so you could be a designer. And he said, yeah, I'll try, but then I really know now it's far more deeper than that. He has to commit. If he wants to become a designer, I think he has to commit to designing. He can't just
Yes.
work for 1 hour and learn something and then can be a designer. No way, right?
No.
Yeah.
It's very
Okay.
difficult to make money out of it because most of the people know how to use Photoshop. So you will never find clients to do the job that someone else can easily do at your home. Like for instance, the kids at age 6, 7, 8 in America, they know how to use Photoshop. So what do you know? What's the
True.
value that you're going to bring? Nothing. It's just simple.
Yeah. I understand. Amazing. So thank you very much for opening my eyes, and then the audience who are here. So my next question is, what's the design? What's the difference, or how do you separate design and art?
Yeah, it's a very good question to ask because oftentimes people, when we call it design, they want to see something beautiful, something nice, something eye-catching, which is all that true for solve some sort of problem. But design isn't about creating beautiful graphics. It's more than that. This is what I was emphasizing all throughout this conversation. So, for instance, when you consider art, I will tell you like very simplest definition that I can give. Art is asking questions. Design is answering questions. So art is raising more questions. When you think about Mona Lisa, you cannot say that she's smiling or she's sad or she's just angry with you. You never know. When you look at it, it creates a lot of problems, like a lot of questions. It's raising a lot of questions. But the
Yeah.
design is completely opposite. Design is something that you can communicate, that solves certain problem. It could have been a different problems. So maybe it could have been a promotion, it could have been a brand awareness, it could have been corporate communication, it can be anything. It can be something that communicate to a certain audience to get the answers that they need. Oh, this event is when. You can see the design and you can, if you can emphasize that the day, then they can get the answers that they need from that design, right? So design is answering questions and art is asking questions. It's giving you your emotional brain to think it in more different ways. So that's a complete two different things. So if you do art for your business, visual communication, marketing communication, you're gonna be in trouble because people will plot with your call centers. They will give you like thousands of calls to ask thousands of questions because you didn't ask them.
Wow. That's such a profound statement that you made. I mean, this conversation is maybe it's so intellectually deep. It's opening
Hmm.
my mind. Thank you so much. On this day, we decided to have this conversation. Amazing. So let's get into our discussion today. This episode 35 of Sri Lanka's first LinkedIn Live talk show. Today's talk is Design DNA and how it provides solutions. So, what is the DNA of a design?
Yes, it's a very good question because most of the people think design is just creating beautiful graphics and just call it a day. But I felt like there are key fundamental things that you can emphasize on. One is the empathy. Empathy is one of the important quality of the design. Empathy, creativity, and vision. These are the three things that I think we can call the DNA of design because these three
You
are.
wanna you wanna repeat the three? Empathy,
Yes, empathy, creativity, and vision. These are the three things.
creativity, and
Vision.
vision.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
those are
I
the
would say
three elements of the
elements.
DNA of a designer. Very
Yes.
good. Okay, please
Yes.
go ahead.
Empathy is understanding other people's mindset, walk in their shoes to understand their problems and define a good problem statement to start with, because if you don't understand their problems, you're going to end up doing something that's not going to solve their problem. So whenever you have this empathy, you can understand other persons better because most of the time what designers do is they try to have a creative indulgence with their designs. They want to showcase, they wanna do crazy 3D artistic whatever play. But end of the day, design is about empathy. understanding other people, understanding their customers, what their things, what their thoughts, these are the things important, and you need to understand that before you design anything, before you turn on your computer, you just need to figure out that empathy is one of the key element in design, and we cannot forget that, because that's a critical thing. And the second thing is the creativity. Creativity is the most common word that people are using. Oh, you have to be creative, but they don't know what's the creativity is. Creativity isn't. I'll tell you what creativity is not. Creativity is not something you creating something completely new, because that's nearly impossible to create something completely new, because even the words I talk, even the way I walk is by copying somebody else, but I put some customization to it and have a different arrangement. So creativity is about having some whatever existing things and arrange it in a different way to solve this problem. In design, that's the creativity. It's not like you're going to create something that nobody has ever seen and then completely new, and you cannot do that. It must be inspired from something you've already seen, already have engaged with it. Otherwise, how it exists? It doesn't exist anywhere else. So that's why most of the designers want to do amazingly creative things that people would not understand, only artists would understand, right? Then the business aspect of the design is going to fail. So that's why the creativity is important. Obviously, to doing things in order to get the competitive advantage, and be visible on the market, build a strong brand identity for that specific brand. It's very important. So that is why the creativity is so important in design. And the third one is the vision. If you don't have a vision, if you cannot vision the future, you're gonna do a lot of mistakes, because design is about vision. What's going to happen if I design this and publish in this space? What will happen if I do this? Because when I went to Saudi, it was very challenging even to have a one female figure in your design. It's going to trigger a hell lot of people. So imagine that. That's why the vision comes from. You can be empathized, you can be creative, but if you cannot be a visionary to understand what's going to happen after you have done that, what's the impact that you're going to make, the measurements that you're going to take, if you cannot have that, it's going to be so disastrous experience for brands. We have seen a lot of big brands going crazy. Like for instance, this Red Bull thing. If you know this, Red Bull gives wings. One guy
Yep.
went to the police and complained that he had like a big lawsuit about this, because he said that no, it doesn't give me wings. Imagine that.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's, it's empathy, it's creative, but it's no vision. So what's going to happen now? Then it's fair. It's not design. So these are the three fundamentals. As I learned from my creative directors, this is what I'm explaining, because the my agencies was my universities. I never went to any universities, or I haven't had any formal design educations. But these are the things that I learned from my creative directors, the managing directors. So this is why I'm saying from my experience, these are the key fundamentals of design, and which is gonna help you to reach to a different place, and maybe to change your perspective of design. Then it's going to help your businesses, as well as if you are a designer, you can go to a new place. This is why I'm saying this understanding these three key components is going to dramatically change the result.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you very much for that lengthy answer. But then that gives the depth and the understanding what is design DNA, and it doesn't matter whether you have a formal education in the university, but as you very correctly said, this cannot be Googled and learned. But then you learned it the hard way by working with multinational brands. That's why I said some of the universities should take you as a speaker, as a guest lecturer sometimes, to share your experience. That's important. It doesn't matter now. My 12-year-old son shared his experience with a foreign university in India today, and he was sharing his experience with a bunch of students in Weimar University a few days back. So your age, your qualification doesn't matter if you have a great experience. Sharing that great experience, these are the sometimes you can't pay money and learn these kind of things. Your
Yes.
experience through a story, you are making it mine. That's the greatest experience I could have.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So thanks. So I'm going to do something extraordinary today. Generally, I make sure that I don't pull uh, messages or whoever is commenting here, which is not related to the topic. But then today I'm going to do something like that. I have a young boy here. Uh, he's Usman Abdin. Sir, I have a question. I'm a 70-year-old. I should do last year O levels, but I had some problems, and I'm doing my O levels on next year. So I have a 2-year gap. I want to know, does any job opportunities for me? I don't want a salary. I want experience, because these days experience do matter. Uh, like I'm losing 2 years. So Usman, I mean, this is not the place for you to come and comment, but this is a tough time for everybody, this COVID situation. I mean, I would rather happy if you had sent it to me as an inbox message or sent it to Charit as an inbox message rather than coming and commenting here. But it's a rare occasion. I also see some boldness and some kind of a leadership in you to come and even as a 17-year-old come and put it here in this forum. So I thought, why don't I get your voice heard? There are so many people watching this show. So yeah, I'm exposing your message to everybody. I'm sure somebody is going to help you. In the meantime, drop your CV or about you to my inbox also to see whether I could connect with you somebody to help. And Charit, I guess that is empathy in one way.
Definitely.
Yeah. So now I would like to ask the next question. How could design solve problems? Now, that is also part of today's topic. It's about solutions. So how could it solve problems? You want to discuss that?
Yeah, it's very interesting topic. That's what I do all day. Like it's I like problems. It's not like I felt it like an opportunity to create something. Whenever there is a problem, I always think that there is an opportunity to create something, opportunity to discover something. It's gonna really make me more energetic. So when it comes to design, the problem solving is starting with identifying it, because most of the people, they don't take this step. They just come into creating solutions that don't even know what the problem is. So this is the problem. So they need to understand define the problem. That's why the creative consultations come in, because you can be a great designer, but if you cannot consult your client to understand what is the problem, it's going to create a lot of problems. Again, more problems, more changes, and both are frustrated, and your deadlines is gone. You both exhausted, then both hating each other, and they end up never working together. And it's not a good experience for either of them, because it's gonna affect this ecosystem. Because these clients, and he hate designer who was working with him before. When he come to a good designer, he also look at him in that way as well. So how design solve problems is by identifying the problems, and then according to that problem, like the state of the problem. For instance, what type of problem is that? Is it a communication problem? Is it a visual problem? What it is, you need to understand that by asking various questions. Because some designers ask questions like crazy questions, like, oh, what color would you like to see in your logo? That's your job, not his job. His job is to tell you what is his problem is and what he's trying to do. And then you need to figure out what are the best options. That's your job. So when you ask sort of low value questions, what's going to happen is it's devaluing you. So in design, how designs can solve problems by identifying this problem. And then we can use design methodologies, like you have like a lot of design methodologies that you can use to solve these specific problems. It's depending on the problem. There are many methodologies that being used, such as lean, agile, design thinking. There are thousands of design methodologies to implement to solve certain problems. These are the frameworks that you can use to solve problems. So these methodologies, you need to study what is the best for this solution, what is the best for this problem, what is the best for this solution. So once you have that, it's very easy, because it's very specific to the nature of the problem that you are going to solve. So it's going to solve the complete problem with the design. So you can have a sort of workflow, for instance, with the design thinking, We talk about the empathy, defining the problem, ideating it, then the prototyping, and you can test and deliver it. So these are the things that you do in design. That's how design can solve problems.
Wow. I mean, it's amazing to hear a designer talking about design thinking, lean, agile. Amazing. So I think, more people should talk to you. That's why I said you should be in various forums. I'm going to connect you to as many as places you with them, because I think this knowledge and experience what you have gained, you can't give a value to that. It has to be shared, and I'm so happy that you decided to create a place called the Blaze, not to offer courses or anything like,
Yeah.
but purely to build good designers in this country, so that probably we will hear about the world will hear about Sri Lanka as okay, it's a great place. There are great designers over there. Yeah. So I will have an additional question. Are there any countries that are known for good designers?
Yes, obviously USA, Swiss design, Italian design. There are sort of design styles that is gonna around in world. Even we use some Swiss designs, systems. The America is the one of the best place for the design. Japanese design systems are great. So there are like
Oh,
different criteria for the designs. The design when you learn about design history, you would always find out what are those and how it can influence your design decisions.
okay, great. So my next question. Okay, let's
Yeah,
say now these days actually I'm going through it.
yeah,
My son's business is getting registered. His website is
yeah.
getting done, and we are in the process of finalizing a logo.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe this is something that is very common. The moment you want to register a business, the next question is, what's your domain name, and then eventually the logo, right?
Yeah.
So, what would go through between the business owner and the person who is creating the logo, right? Generally, what happens? How should it happen?
Yeah, it's sort of a lengthy process. I would explain it in my famous example, which is like you have a business, you're going to do a business, which is you have the resources that you need, right? Let's say you are cooking something, you are making food. Okay, food is your business. Okay, so
Yeah.
before that, you need to gather your ingredients, right? Because you need to make sure that you have all the ingredients you need, right? And then
Yes.
you're going to create a recipe around it, which I call brand strategy to drive that ingredients in a certain process in order to create that product, right? The food, for instance. So that's why you need this framework, the recipe, what we call brand strategy, right? Your company vision and vision, and the why what is your differentiator, what is your position statements, and everything. These are the things are most vital before you do anything about visual identity, because logo coming like a full stop in the paragraph. It's not the paragraph. Paragraph is the strategy. Strategy is important in any business. Apart from the business strategy, brand strategy is important to help the business strategy. So you have to define your brand strategy. Especially we talk about brand archetypes, we talk about brand identity traits. These are the fundamental things. There are I can talk more technically about this, but I'll keep it more open so everybody would understand.
Yeah.
So those are the criteria that you need in order to articulate a proper brand strategy. So once you have that, your visual identity system design is much more easy and much more clear because you have a certain character that you want to build. It's like you are creating you are trying to build a good character. Let's say, okay, how he speak. We call it brand or tone of voice, right? How he speak, right? How he look like. That is the brand identity. His face is like what the logo. That's how we people understand. That's how people recognize you by the face. The logo is the company's face. I would say this is maybe not the ideal way to describe it, but I'm trying to make sense of something. What I'm trying to say, right? The behavior. Is he so aggressive or is he so loudly caring? What is this character style? Because as a character could break in one incident, your brand also can be break in one incident. It's the same. It's a loving, growing in character. You fuse things into him. It's like you are the parent. You just try to, craft this person in a better way so he can have a good engagement with people and hopefully to win their heart. This is what brand is all about. So how the place should be like is the logo. So whenever you need a logo, you need to understand this characteristic. For instance, if the brand is more about power and everything, the muscular, and these are the characteristics you're going to pierce into. If you have like a baby face, it doesn't make sense, right? All the characteristics will go away, and people will recognize you like a soft person. So what is the combination between what you do and the look of it? How people going to recognize. That's why the strategy is important for the design. Once you figure out those things, design is just a matter of just executions, just executions. That's the thing. So before you design now, define your strategy, understand the brand characteristics, and depending on that, try to take decision. Should I go for a more cursive font? If it is about like family product or anything, it's better to choose some pink or light, like pastel sort of soft color in order to make them feel more, feminine. If it is more muscular band like energy drink or something, then you need to go like Red Bull, Monster, how they go about their drugs. It's more strong messaging, strong stunts, and more compelling visuals, like doing crazy things. That's to define their character. So when you're doing designing, you need to fuse those ingredients into it. Make sure that it's there already in the visual identity. That's what you are representing end of the day. So that's why whenever you're creating this logo, you need to understand that. If you don't understand that, you end up creating a total disaster for that brand. That's the
Amazing. I mean, I know. Again, you are going to hurt a lot of people, who are
Hmm.
in this process. But then facts are facts. Yeah. So the next question, probably this is the last question. We have just completed 1 hour. This is
Hmm.
a very important question. We have a lot of freelancing platforms, the freelancer.com to Fiverr to many. So because of that, a lot of youngsters want to get in there and earn money. Yeah. What is your advice?
Yes, my advice is platforms are not that. It's not bad. I cannot say it's bad because obviously you need to get some exposure or overseas exposure, and you need money. You need a capital in order to do something of your own, start a business or try to find new clients with LinkedIn. Advertising. You need money for it, right? To create your websites. To hire people, you need money. But these platforms can help you for that. But if you're going to fully sustain on this platform, it's not going to work well for you. Because this platform usually crowded with a lot of talented people because they are very lazy to do their branding, marketing, and advertising. So if you are failed to do those three things, which is not that hard to do it, if you can do it, it will give you a lot of benefits. Like you have your own platform, not just like you depending on one platform. Because end of the day, if a platform bans your account, if platforms store you out from that platform, you end up having nothing. That's why the importance of branding is coming into place. If you can brand yourself a certain designer who solves certain problem in this society, there is a lot of opportunity for you to grow that thing. It could be slow than the platform, but eventually you will get there. Once you have this your pace, once you pick up your pace and you do bigger projects, you're gonna end up being in a stronger position than you are in the platform. So my advice is if you are a young designer, just go there just to make a couple of bucks and also try to have a strategy to design and craft your brand, because the creating a brand is not an overnight process. It's a long process. It's going to take maybe 1 year, 2 year, I don't know, depending on the chances that you're getting and the opportunities that you're purchasing. So if you can purchase a good opportunity, big opportunity, even though, let's say, I asked this question from a designer and he said no, and I was so surprised that I understand he doesn't know. I asked him, if Nike came to you and asked you to work for 3 months in a bigger project, would you accept it? But they will not pay you a single penny. And he immediately said, no, I will never work for free. I think that's not a good answer because when you work for a Nike, it doesn't matter. I will work for 1 year if I can get that client. It's fine because once you work that, the exposure that you are getting and the leads that you are generating, you
It's
have no idea.
invaluable. Yeah. I
Invaluable.
know.
You have no idea about that. That's why I say all the time, whenever you have opportunity, pounce on it. Just completely grab it from your both hand and then throw yourself at it. Definitely put it there, put it out there. Always try to do something that can give you more exposure in this industry. These platforms, they don't want you to go out from it. It's like a gamble. They are
It's like
like your.
it's a trap.
Yes, it's a modern day slavery in a sense. It's like they just trap you in a platform. They don't want you to talk with the other clients and work with them. No, they are not. This is a business. They are basically having a company. You just work for them. It doesn't like you are an entrepreneur or you are a freelancer. I am my own boss. No, you are the boss of that platform. You are not boss. You're just working for that company. Even though you have a client, but you are not work. You don't have anything. They just ban your account, right? So that's why you need to have your own shop, right? It's like your own personal brand. People will come to you, inquire about you, and give referrals to somebody. For instance, I come to your site and I saw nice designs and everything, which is very great and nice. So I would recommend you to another person. So that's how your network is building. And I know obviously Mr. Amit is talking about a lot about LinkedIn and how, and I will tell you my brand and my all the projects that I'm getting, the big high ticket pricing, what I'm doing is from LinkedIn. I didn't
Yeah.
go anywhere else. It's all from
Same.
LinkedIn, guys.
Yeah.
It's all
So
from LinkedIn.
amazing. So I want you to hop into my clubhouse session, which I will have is in Sinhalese language on I think it's on Sunday. Personal
Yes,
branding and LinkedIn on in clubhouse. Please hop in. Let's have a chat
definitely.
over there. Yeah, amazing. So Charit, today I have been talking to Charit Veerasurya, founder, creative director at Blaze, and then one of the top designers in the country with a lot of international exposure. So I'm exposing him to my network. Please have a chat with him. Get his actually get his knowledge to share with the younger generation in your university, in your association or whatever. I'm going to connect you with some key important people where I mean, it's like a gem, and then you are there somewhere. Of course, you also recently came back to Sri Lanka, so not many would know that you are here. So, and then of course we have travel restrictions and lockdowns. Yes, our ability to move around is somewhat limited. Anyway, Charit, it's a great pleasure, having you here, and then giving this mind-blowing discussion about designs. Oh my God! My perception about designs have completely changed, and I know now. I knew nothing about design. Today, I mean, I'm going to get my elder son to look at this session and say, hey, look, if you want to understand designs, first start from here. So thank you so very much. I'm sure we could do a lot of things together in the future to help this country, help the youngsters, help the society, whether they are here or anywhere else. That's what we are here for. We never know for how long we are going to live, but then let's make a dent in the world. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so very much. Any last words to everybody?
Thank you for having me on this show. I'm so glad to be part of it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Okay, then. Everybody, please join me next week again for another mind-blowing discussion, maybe. And then let's keep this discussion going on. Share this with your friends, family members, and help this society to have better knowledge, better experience, and then better lives, happy lives. So stay safe. Please stick to the health guidelines. Thank you and good night.
Good night. Good night, everybody.